What it is, it's a KX85 shock, early years, like a 03, something like that. On the new shocks, you got bleed ports or bleed things. You usually just screw this thing out. Maybe this thing comes out. It looks like it takes a one of those spanner type things. But anyway, the only other blood port is that little Allen right there. Okay, that'll let the fluid and air out, of course. So what I've done is, because I've serviced this, it's got a new seal head on it now. And if you'll notice, if we can get a picture here, now I've already bled this thing, but when I first started bleeding it, I was just getting big air bubbles out of it. Now all I'm getting is fluid coming up. You can see the fluid kind of squirting up there. All right, so this is kind of the way to do this, is to put your fluid in here and then bleed the air out of it, and it does a really good job of bleeding. I might do this on the regular shocks that have a fill port and stuff on it. But anyway, it's another way to do it, and otherwise you're stuck with trying to bleed it down here from that little Allen. And then you put your bladder back in, and there's going to be oil running all over the place. But the point is that now the shock is bled. The oil that comes out of here will be okay, because it'll okay, sorry about that. The camera died there for a second. As usual, things go. I forgot to check the battery, see how much, but I only used it for a little bit. But anyway, I've put the bladder back in. I've bled the whole thing. It should be good to go. I'll make one last check using that little bleed report down here, but this thing should be good to go. I've got to add air to the bladder now, nitrogen, so I'll be doing that in just a second. That's pretty much it. I just want to show you how to bleed one of these things that didn't have an easier way to bleed it. Thanks for looking. Okay, here's another way to fill this shock through that little port. I've already assembled the thing, got it all back together, and I noticed there were some air bubbles coming out still. So what I've done is, if you have a little syringe like this or something like it, that you can get the end of it in that hole for the Allen head screw, look, see what happens is, see, as I pull out on the shock, I'm pulling out on this, the fluid level's going down. Okay, now I'll get to a hard, there we go. So I got past, now I'm sucking air. So now what I'm going to do is to push it back up a little bit. See, I'm pushing air out of it now. All right, now I started putting fluid back in it, no air. All right, so that's one way to do it. Just keep adding oil. This is a slow process. The bigger problem is that I could not get that spanner thing off. If you look real close, you can see that this thing is actually staked at two different places here to keep it in place, and it's probably got Loctite on it too. So anyway, I didn't have the correct tool for that, so I'm doing it the hard way now, filling this shock. All right, guys, that's it for right now. I'll come back to you later. Another little tidbit that I do is to put air in there in the bladder while I'm bleeding, or towards the end of the bleeding process, to make sure that we take any trapped air that's in the canister here out of this, you know, to make it expel out of the system. I just use a few. I got those pumps that you use for air forks and stuff like that. I just pump a little air in there, maybe 5 pounds, 10 pounds, something like that. Air's not going to hurt that. If you guys are going to flip out about nitrogen, it's an infinitesimal amount of air in there. We're going to fill this thing up with 150 psi of nitrogen. So it's very minute amount of air in there. All right, guys, I'm going to put this thing back on pause or off or something. And if I got one more tidbit, I'll come back to you.